Hare Krishna, a very warm welcome to all the devotees to our program on Srimad Bhagavatam study. We are studying Srimad Bhagavatam in a very systematic manner, right from Canto 1, Chapter 1, Verse 1, in a way which is in a flow, like from in a series, like first chapter, second chapter, like that. Now our journey has reached to 8th chapter of the second canto. Overall, we have covered this journey in 75 classes or 74 classes. Today is 75th class. So we have now reached to the 8th chapter. The title of this chapter is Questions by Parikshit Maharaj. We started this chapter last Sunday, and today we plan to cover verses 7th to 23rd of this chapter. So a very short chapter, brief chapter. Practically most of the chapter is questions by Parikshit Maharaj. So we will start with some Mangalacharan prayers. And if I remember correctly, today is Anuradha Mataji who is going to do the Mangalacharan. Is she available? Yes, she is there. So Anuradha Mataji, would you like to recite?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamda Jeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishankanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you very much. Very nicely recited. Kindly
Ah,
continue with this
yes,
also.
Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Excellent. Thank you,
Yes.
Mataji. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So we move to the next part of our program, which is the summary of the previous class. Now, this was assigned to one of our devotees, one of the devotees in the class who would attend our classes, Vasudevan Prabhu. But Vasudevan Prabhu mentioned to me that he will not be able to attend the classes for some time as he is occupied in few personal issues, which is taking his more time. So I will do the summary in this class of the previous class. So in the previous class, we concluded the chapter number 7 and the last section of chapter 7, which is mainly about summarizing the whole discussion of three chapters, chapter number 5, chapter number 6, and chapter number 7. So this 5th, 6th, and 7th chapter are Narad Brahma Samvad, Narad Brahma dialogue. It was mainly quoted by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, because the Parikshit Maharaj asked about this creation pastime of the Supreme Lord. So Shukdev Goswami said that I can tell you, and it was discussed in the past also. It was discussed between Brahmaji and Narad Muni. Same question was asked. So why not let me relate to you by mentioning the same pastime to you. Like that, that discussion started, and then fifth, sixth, and seventh chapter were discussed. Uh, Ultimately, now in this section, 50 to 53 verse, Brahmaji is concluding that dialogue. And then, while concluding the dialogue, he also kind of encourages Narad Muni that whatever information, knowledge I have given to you through these discussion, I request you to kindly preach the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, the message of Srimad Bhagavatam to everyone, like that. So uh, he concludes, Brahmaji concludes, he says that I have thus told you about the Supreme Lord who creates all worlds and without whom nothing exists. So ultimately, what he says that the question asked by Narad Muni was, who does this creation? Are you or is someone else? Brahmaji is concluding, yes, it is done by the Lord, and actually, Lord is the basis of everything, without whom nothing exists. Then in 51 and 52 words, he encourages Narad Muni to explain Bhagavatam to all, the message of Bhagavatam to all, and in such a way that it give rise to bhakti in all the living entities. That is the main objective of narrating this. And then pastime of creation is important. Now we have heard about this pastime of creation. Fifth chapter, sixth chapter, seventh chapter. The whole pastime of creation we have discussed. So what is the falashruti of hearing this pastime or reciting this pastime? It is very important because the pastime of creation is all about the Maya Shakti of the Lord. Hmm? The Ashwarya. Ashwarya means, like for example, if we come in contact with somebody who is very rich in this material world, and that rich person, or maybe some associate of that rich person, takes you around the wealth he has created, maybe some very big bungalows, maybe very big businesses, factories, farmhouses, etc., etc. You may see everything in awe and wonder. Oh, so much, so much, so much wealth. Then you might have some kind of a emotion of awe and reverence towards that person. So that way it is kind of gives the reader a emotion of awe and reverence. Oh, the Lord has created all these billions of universes and have created so many other varieties within the universes. And then at the same time, you also try to understand that this is the material nature. This is the place where we are not expected to be. This is a very complicated place. In this place, if we try to get entangled in this place, then we continue to get entangled for uh, so many years, so many life cycles. So the pastime of creation is very important in order to understand the greatness of the Lord, and at the same time, in order to understand our position as a living entity getting entangled in this material creation. And then it also encourages us to kind of not get bewildered with this entanglement, rather do the needful, do bhakti of the Lord, and get out from here. So that is the main message here, summarizing the whole discussion and then encouraging Narad Muni to preach Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we move to chapter number 8. So we gave you a brief summary of, so in the beginning of the previous class, that from chapter number 1 to chapter number 7 of the second canto, we explained to you that the dialogue was mainly between Parikshit and Shukdev, because Parikshit Maharaj asked this question that what is the duty of a dying man? And then in order to answer it, in order to answer Parikshit Maharaj's question, Shukdev Goswami kind of explained that it is actually bhakti, then also wants to explain what is various Ashtang Yoga is not the answer, neither Karam Yoga is the answer, not Karma Kand is the answer, but it is actually Bhakti Yoga, which is the duty of a dying man. And he explained few things in order to give after while giving this answer. Then after this Narad Brahma then Parikshit Maharaj asked this question about creation. Then the whole event of Narad Brahma Samvad happens. And now the Narad Brahma Samvad, when it has concluded, the camera once again zooms out from Narad Brahma Samvad and goes and zooms in onto the Parikshit Shukdev Goswami Samvad. Now, Parikshit and Shukdev Goswami uh, are further discussing where Parikshit Maharaj already have received this information. What is the duty of dying man? And what is the duty of dying man? It is about the glorification of the Lord, about Shravanam of the Katha of the Lord. And then by doing Shravanam and Kirtanam, we do Smaranam. Ultimately, that is the objective, because when whatever we smaran, whatever we memorize at the end of the our life, we get that destination. And that's what Bhagavad Gita also mentions. Lord Krishna says that whatever bhava you have at the end of your life, that is the destination you are going to get. If you have my bhava, you come to me. So that is what Parikshit Maharaj is all eager about. He want to remember the Lord. And then he inspires Shukdev Goswami to speak Harikatha. And since the discussion in the previous chapter ended with Brahmaji encouraging Narad Muni to preach Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, the first verse of the 8th chapter is about Parikshit Maharaj requesting Shukdev Goswami to kindly explain the preaching exploits of Narad Muni. Then he, in the second verse, he further requests Shukdev Goswami to kindly narrate me the pastimes of the Lord, because such narrations are very auspicious for the entire world. Lok Mangala. And then in the third verse, he says that kindly continue to speak so that I may give up my body while absorbing my mind in Krishna. So that is what he heard this message, Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam. And now he's asking the same thing to Shukdev Goswami to kindly do that for me. I have now several days to spend, several days while my death is waiting for me. Kindly do that for me so that I can completely absorb my mind. And then in the fourth verse, uh, he says that one who does this activity of Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam, the Lord quickly manifests in the heart of the devotee who continually hears with faith and serious endeavor. Here we explain to you about serious endeavor. Serious endeavor means do something about it. Do some, uh, mm, take some serious activity for the Lord in our life, so that once we do that, we can actually continuously uh, hear about the Lord, continuously remember the Lord. And when we do that, the Lord actually manifests in our heart. So what does Lord manifesting in our heart means? Lord manifesting in our heart actually means that although the Lord is already present in our heart as Paramatma, but Paramatma's presence is very neutral. Very neutral means he's simply observing us, what are we doing, taking note of our activities, our intentions, our thoughts, etc. But when we say Krishna manifests in our heart, actually it is mainly out of attachment. Krishna comes in our heart. Out of bhakti, Krishna actually gives us the experience of bhakti, and that is how it manifests in our heart. That is uh, what it means. Then fifth is Harikatha purifies the heart on entering the ear holes. Uh, just like autumnal rains clears the water reservoir. So there was one analogy given how the autumnal rains are very, very gentle. And when they fall on the water reservoirs, actually the water reservoirs which have become muddy because of turbulent monsoonal rains, they become very clear. The water becomes very clear. Everything settles down because of the pleasing autumnal rains. So similarly, Harikatha also purifies the heart on entering our ear holes. So first of all, the Harikatha enters our ear holes, then he enters in our heart. There it does the purification. Our anarthas are gone, and when our anarthas are gone, the place become very clean for the Lord to appear in our heart. Then sixth, such a person with purified heart never gives up the Lord's lotus feet. Such a person with purified heart. Purified heart means when our anarthas are gone. Actually, the process of bhakti works like this. It is not mainly about anarthas getting away. It is mainly about the higher taste we get from this Harikatha. Because of this higher taste, we lose all kind of attraction towards lower taste, lower kind of activities, like lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy. And that's how we hold on to the lotus feet of the Lord. And then there was one analogy given, just like a traveler when he comes back from a very troubled tour, when he comes back home, he feels very relieved. Similarly, the sadhaka also feels very relieved on practicing bhakti, because uh, in bhakti he feels lot of joy, lot of relaxation, lot of higher taste. And when he gets this higher taste, he forgets all the troubles that he was having while he was uh, experiencing lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy in the outside material world. So with that, uh, it is basically what happened in the beginning of chapter 8. Parikshit Maharaj is encouraging uh, Shukdev Goswami to speak Harikatha. And now in the class today, so we have covered this first section. In the class today, we are going to cover the second section of this chapter, which is questions by Parikshit Maharaj. In the previous class, I mentioned to you while introducing this eighth chapter that this chapter is basically a long question paper prepared by Parikshit Maharaj, rather question bank. So with wide variety of topics, uh, Parikshit Maharaj now asks several questions to Shukdev Goswami. So in today's class, the way I have prepared this today's class is we will take each and every question by Parikshit Maharaj that he has asked Shukdev Goswami, and we will also try to give you some points that Srila Prabhupada has given in the purports, and at some places Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given in the purport, just to understand the question better. Because sometimes the question can be a little complicated, and there might be some explanation required to understand the question also, the background behind the question also. So why that question has been asked, from where this thought entered in Parikshit Maharaj's mind that actually triggered this question to be asked from Shukdev Goswami. So Bhagavatam, if you see, is a very systematic book. It is something which you will say comes in very brief conversations, and once one conversation ends, then a fresh conversation starts, and before the start of the fresh conversation, there is a series of questions that is asked, and the next conversation that goes on is based on these kind of questions. And like that, the book has been the book progresses further. Similarly, uh, uh, Parikshit Maharaj will now give a big list of questions, and that's what we are going to study today. So this is from the previous class. Let me quickly move to the list of questions. Now each slide will present to you one question. So starting from verse number 7 till verse number 23, there is a series of questions, and there is a kind of a grouping among the questions also. Like from 7 to 11, there is a theme, sub theme, you can say. This is the questions about Lord and the Jiva. Jiva means the conditioned soul, which is there in the material world. Questions about Lord and Jiva, and then from I think 12th to 14th also you can kind of find a common theme there. But then from 15th onwards, there are several discrete questions, like without any specific theme around those questions. So we will go on this journey of reading the question. The question have been simplified. I have taken help from this book called Bhagavad Subodhini. I hope you can see this, the Bhagavad Subodhini. And in this book, the questions, the author have kind of presented the question in a little simplified way. But if you read the original work by Srila Prabhupada or by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the question you will find is main closely has been translated, which is much closer to the Sanskrit of the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. But I don't think we need to go into the detail of the verses. Not very important here, because these are simply basically questions. So we will present to you the simplified version of the questions, and then main points from the purports by Srila Prabhupada, so that you get a better idea of why the question has been asked. And these questions have been answered in the subsequent sections of Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, like the question that is asked in the 7th verse is answered in the 9th chapter from verse number 1 to 3, and also once again it is answered in the 3rd canto in the 7th chapter from verse number 10 to 12. So that is mainly to give you a quick connection where actually it has been answered. So some of you might become yourself curious to know what is the answers, and may want to go in advance and read these sections for yourself, what actually the answer is. But we will pick it up, and whenever these verses will be discussed, we will mention to you that this is actually the answer to the question asked by Parikshit Maharaj in the 8th chapter of the 2nd canto. So we will do that for you. But now we will request one or two devotees to kindly volunteer to read the text
I am
for
there,
the
Prabhu.
May I,
You can-
Prabhuji?
Okay, Manish ji is there and Rakesh ji is there. Okay, so we will go with the Manish and Rakesh Prabhu for today's recitation. So Manish ji, please read the
Yes,
question.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yes. Verse 7. How did the Jiva, who is spiritual, attain a body which is material? Is it by chance or there is some cause behind it?
Huh. Now, Prabhupada ji in the purport, because Parikshit has just now started asking this question, so Prabhupada ji is giving a little introduction about the mindset that Parikshit is having behind asking these questions. So he's saying Parikshit is not only eager to hear Bhagavatam, but also want to establish its philosophical basis. So Prabhupada ji actually is trying to say here is that Bhagavatam is also full of stories, leelas of the Supreme Lord. And the stories and the leelas of the Supreme Lord are very, very sweet, very pleasing to the heart. But on one side, we have sweet kathas in Srimad Bhagavatam, but at the same time, we also have some philosophy, some maybe difficult philosophy, some philosophical aspect of Srimad Bhagavatam for or spiritual life that we need to understand. So once we understand that philosophical basis, the katha shravan of the Bhagavatam becomes much more relishable, much more convincing for us. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Parikshit is not only eager to hear Bhagavatam, but also want to establish its philosophical basis. Why he's saying so? Because the question is somewhat philosophical. How the question is philosophical? He's saying that how did the jiva, who is basically spiritual, attain a body which is material? How this happens? Is it by chance, or is there any cause behind? Is there any cause behind it? So that is the question he's asking. And ultimately, in simple terms, the question is, how did the process of accepting material bodies begin? So jiva is spiritual, it is spirit soul, but he accepts a material body. So the question in essence is how all this process of creation or accepting material body happens. So how it happens, what is the cause behind it, what is the reason behind it? That is the question. Okay, so we will go like this, item by item, question by question. Now we have the 8th question. Yes, Prabhu,
Yes.
please read.
Both the Lord as Virat Purusha and common living entities assume bodies. What is the specific difference between the Lord and the Jiva?
Hmm.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
answer is, yeah. Shall I
yeah.
also speak the answer?
No, Prabhu. We will just, for the
Okay,
time being,
okay.
restrict to the question. I will explain these points item by item. That is mainly for my help as well as for your help on what are the main points in the purport. Just to give you a better idea of the question. Both the Lord and the common living entities assume bodies. So far, you have seen that the discussion between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami via the dialogue between Narad and Brahmaji have discussed about the process of creation. And in the process of creation, they have heard about Virat Purusha. And from this Virat Purusha also comes the ingredients for the uh, for the material creation. Hmm. So both the Lord as Virat Purusha and the common living entities assume bodies. So we have heard this pastime when uh, Lord Vishnu, uh, Garbhodakshay Vishnu enters the Brahmandas. A lotus comes out from his navel, and along the stem of the lotus there are various planets, various universes, and on top of the lotus we have Brahmaji, and then the same Garbhodakshay Vishnu uh, uh, actually enters into the each living entity, enter into each Brahmanda, etc., etc., like that. So the discussion is about that all these universes when they emanate has been described by in Srimad Bhagavatam as Virat Purusha, and we had have discussion about it. What this Virat Purusha means? It is a imaginary explanation, but here Parikshit Maharaj is saying that both the Lord has assumed a form. You mentioned that Virat Purusha is also has a form, and the living entity also has a form. The Virat Purusha is very big. The living entity may be very small, but both has some form. Both has a form. The living entity also has a form, and Virat Purusha is also form. So just because their size is different, one is Virat, one is not that Virat, one is very small. Uh, I don't think just because their size is different, there is a difference between the two. There must be some other specific reason, or there must be some any specific difference between the Lord and the Jiva. That is mainly the question. Both are like human-like form, and both are the forms. One is Virat, one is small. But what is the specific difference between them? And then Prabhupada ji and explains that in the purport. So what do they say? In creation, Lord takes a gigantic body, and living entity also gets a body. So when the Lord is doing creation, uh, the creation is also like a gigantic body, that is Virat Purusha, and the living entity also takes a body. And then he explains this point by using an analogy. Elephant also has a gigantic body, but an ant also has a very small body. So both elephant also has a body and an ant also has a body. Elephant may have a big body, ant may have a small body. But is it sufficient enough to explain the difference between the two? Just because their size is different, they are different. There must be some another specific reason which explains the difference between the two. So just because their sizes are different does not necessarily mean there is a difference between the two bodies. So like that, we need to understand the question, from where the question is coming. So we are simply focusing in our discussion today, what exactly is the question, and why the question is being asked. And this is answered in these verses, like in 9th chapter of second canto and the 10th chapter of the second canto. Okay. Maniji, please read the ninth one.
Yeah. Brahma appeared from the navel of the Lord. Is the form of the Lord similar to that of material body of Brahma or different?
Ah, a very similar question, but now with respect to Brahma. So, Brahmaji was directly born from the bodily expansion of the Lord. So, as I mentioned to you in the previous question, that how Brahmaji took birth is known as Aja. Aja means one who does not have any mother or father, who does not come from the womb of the mother. So Brahmaji was born like on the lotus flower that emanated from the navel of the Supreme Lord. Then the question is, Brahmaji directly was born from the bodily expansion of the Lord. Bodily expansion means what? The lotus flower. So the lotus flower emanates from the navel, and that is kind of a bodily expansion which is being mentioned here in Prabhupada's purport. Then Brahmaji was also able to see the form of the Lord. Earlier he was not able to see anything, but then later on, by the grace of the Lord, he was able to see the form of the Lord. Now the question by Parikshit Maharaj is whether the form seen by Brahma is of the same quality as that of Brahma. So Brahmaji also has a body, and Brahmaji, because he emanated from the body of the Lord, there is a connection. Brahmaji is actually coming something related with the expanded body of the Lord. So the question that has arisen in the mind of Parikshit Maharaj is whether the form of the Lord seen by Brahma is of the same quality as that of Brahma. So I hope you understand the question. Are you able to understand the question?
Yes, Prabhu.
Is the form of the Lord that the Brahmaji was able to have darshan, and the and Brahmaji himself, are these same quality as that of Brahma, or are they different? So that is something which we now understand the question. So you will see how the question has been framed and how it has been explained using analogies or using maybe simple sentences in order to explain the question. Okay, and this is answered in the third canto, 8th chapter. So 8th chapter is all about how Brahmaji came and what happened when Brahmaji took birth. How did he try to see something all around and he could not find anything? Then ultimately he started doing tapasya, and then by doing tapasya, few things happened, and like that. So all that discussion is part of the discussion of 8th chapter in the third canto. The full chapter is dedicated to it. Okay, now we read the 10th one.
Yeah. Where is this Purusha who is in everyone's heart? The Lord of Maya, but untouched by Maya, lies down.
Hmm. Purusha. Purusha means Karanodakshai Vishnu. Hmm. Now, Karanodakshai Vishnu does this creation. So, Parikshit Maharaj have heard all this narration of the creation, that this Purusha glances at the material nature, impregnates it with the three modes and Kala. Hmm. And then, when this Prakriti gets agitated and then starts to the creation cycle or the process of creation starts. Uh, so all that pastime he has, all that lila, all that description he has already heard. So from that description, he's asking this question: where is this Purusha? Where this Purusha who is in everyone's heart? Everyone's heart means Karnodakshai Vishnu. Uh, he does this creation by glancing on material nature. Then the same Karnodakshai Vishnu enters into the Brahmandas, and then from this navel comes uh, the lotus, and the Brahmaji comes, and then Brahmaji creates all these various universes, and the same same Garbhodaksha Vishnu actually enters into all the atoms and the living entities, etc., etc. So he's saying all this process of creation he has heard. So he's asking, uh, who is in everyone's heart, who is the Lord of Maya, but untouched by Maya. He doesn't touches the Maya. He simply glances at Maya. So where exactly he is? Where exactly he is? Is he in the hearts of every living entity? He doesn't come in contact with Maya, so I don't think he's in the material world, etc. Where exactly he's lying down? So please describe the place where the Lord who glances over Prakriti lies. So this is a simplified version in the purports. Then, although he is the master of Maya but does not touch her, only glances her, it is said that he also dwells within all living beings. So he's within the heart, he also glances at Maya, but where does he lies? वो कहाँ लेटते हैं? वो कहाँ है? वो स्थान कौन सा है? Which is that place where the Lord who glances over Prakriti lies? So that is the question, and that will be answered in the 9th chapter of the second canto and the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th chapter. Okay, 11th.
Yeah. I have heard that the planets and their governors are imagined as the limbs of the Virat Purusha in 2.1 and 2.5. Please
Hmm.
explain more details.
Please explain more details. Now in 2.1, first chapter, what did we study? Limbs of Purusha were equated with planets. Hmm. So there were various planets, and these planets were kind of equated with limbs of Virat Purusha. So this is something which is the hand. This is something like, for example, we had uh, the feet of Virat Purusha to be as the lower planets, and then the upper bodily parts of the Lord were compared mainly to the middle planets, and the top part of the body of the Lord were compared with the uh, with the upper planets. So that is what we were discussed in the limbs of Purusha equated with planets. Uh, Higher planets, middle planets, and lower planets. Then in the fifth chapter, planets as limbs of the Purusha. This was the description that Parikshit Maharaj has heard. One is directly through Shukdev Goswami, one is via the pastime of Brahma Narad Samvad. Now he's saying that are there more details to it? Can you explain me all those details? So that is mainly the question. Now these questions have been answered in the 10th chapter of the second canto and in the third canto and in the fifth canto also. In these chapters, 5.23 means 23rd chapter of fifth canto, 26th chapter of the third canto, 6th chapter of the third canto, like that. And here it means verses 10 to 35 of the 10th chapter of the second canto, like that. Okay, 12th. So it has three questions basically. Hmm.
Yes. Speak about Kalpa and Vikalpa, subdivision of Kalpa.
Hmm.
How time is perceived in various ages and planetary systems,
Hmm.
lifespan of humans and demigods, etc.
Hmm. So Kalpa. Hmm. So Kalpa actually means time span between creation and annihilation of the universe. So Brahmaji, we understand all these things say Brahmaji has a lifespan for 100 years. So when Brahmaji takes birth, there is some creation. When Brahmaji lives end, there is destruction. But these creation and destruction also happens between the lifespan of Brahmaji. Like in between the day of Brahmaji, there is a creation, and when the night of Brahmaji is there, there is destruction, like that. So speak about Kalpa and Vikalpa. Vikalpa means subdivision of Kalpa. So Kalpa is kind of a unit measurement of time. So speak about Kalpa and Vikalpa. Vikalpa means subdivision of Kalpa. Like we have minutes and we have seconds. So second is something like subdivision of minute. How time is perceived in various ages and planetary systems. Time in various ages. Say for example, we have Satya Yuga, we have Dwapar Yuga, we have Treta Yuga. So time was perceived in one way in Satya Yuga, in another way in another Yuga, like that. And in different planetary system. Different planetary system means in Satya Loka, time has one aspect, one conception, or in one way it is perceived. Like for example, 100 years of Brahma is something like very long period as far as earthly time is concerned. So he's asking about time. How is time perceived in various ages, in yugas, and in planetary systems? Lifespan of humans and demigods. So humans have some lifespan and demigods have different lifespan. So we understand that from our previous discussion that maybe 1 year of human lifespan probably is actually 1 day of a demigod, like that. Now these have been answered in these sections of Srimad Bhagavatam. So just for your reference. Now we go to the 13th and 14th. Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Divisions of time. Destination achieved by karma. How do various karmic activities lead to various bodies?
Yeah. So divisions of time. So for example, time can be having a unit which is representing a very long period, very long duration. Similarly, time could have a unit which is represented by a very short period. So small division and large division. Small division could be maybe like, for example, a second. Large division would be something like maybe years and so on. And all of the places achieved by karma are ultimately devoured by small and large divisions of time. So somebody who has performed very pious karma will go to higher planets. And there in the higher planets, the division of time will be of different nature. And somebody who has done not so very pious karma will go to lower planets. And there the division of time would be something else. So all the places achieved by karma are ultimately devoured by small and large division of time. So this is the question about division of time. And then destination achieved by karma. How do various karmic activities lead to various bodies? So we understand through the law of karma that if we do not so good activities, do activities against the will of the Shastra, etc., then that is known as Vikarma. And a person who does Vikarma goes to hellish planets. And similarly, a person who does pious activities goes to higher planets, maybe Swargaloka or maybe Satyaloka and so on. So Prabhupada tries to explain this point with the help of an analogy. Hmm? So he's saying that even within this earthly planet, we see there are restrictions of movement of people from one country to another country. For example, United States of America is a very prosperous country, and maybe some another country, maybe for example India, which may not be as prosperous like United States. And we find that people in India are very much willing, always willing to move to United States because United States is a very prosperous country. So there are restrictions imposed by United States to the citizens of India. Citizens of India, if they want to become citizens of United States, they need to undergo some qualification process. They need to produce documents that we are very qualified, we have studied engineering or maybe law or maybe uh, accountancy, etc., etc. And we come from a very uh, non-criminal background, or maybe come from a very uh, okay background as far as our criminal record is concerned, and so on, etc., etc. Maybe there are many aspects they check. But the point is, even within this earthly planet, we see there are restrictions of people moving from one country which is not so prosperous to another country which is very prosperous. Similarly, there are restrictions of movement between planets also. If we want to move to higher planet, we need to qualify ourselves to move to that higher planet. Uh, so that is what Srila Prabhupada is writing in his purport. Actually, Prabhupada has also written a book on this subject matter, which is known as the Journey to Higher Planets. Easy Journey to Higher Planets. Something of that nature. He has written a book. And the idea, the point that he makes through that book is that he sees that scientists have a lot of passion to go to explore, to go to higher planets, like, or maybe to go to other planets like maybe Mars or uh, maybe Jupiter, etc. They are sending very lot of spaceships to these kind of planets, and they want to go to moon, they want to land on moon, etc., etc. So Prabhupada is saying that that is not the way to go to higher planets. The way to go to higher planets is actually by uh, raising our consciousness, making our consciousness clean enough so that when you give up this life, you are taken away to some higher planets. So we cannot enter higher planets simply by electronic mechanism. The way to enter higher planets is mainly to clean up our consciousness through various yoga processes. Those yoga processes could be through karma yoga, through jnana yoga, dhyan yoga. And if you take to the ultimate yoga process, that is bhakti yoga, you can probably even go to the planet of the Supreme Lord, which is Goloka, like that. And all these discussions are going to happen in the various sections of Srimad Bhagavatam, where I have listed it for you here. Actually, they have been listed by Gaurang Darshan Prabhu in the Bhagavad Subodhini. I'm simply repeating those here in the slides. Okay, now we have 14th. So now I think we can give chance to Rakesh ji for reading. Yeah.
Creation of various places in this universe and their inhabitants.
So now you will see that again the question is related to creation. So Brahmaji, Lord Vishnu does the main primary creation, and Brahmaji actually does the secondary creation. So primary creation means like building a house. You have 5 rooms, one kitchen, one hall, maybe one few toilets in the room, in the house, and so on. So that is primary creation. But then in the in this room, these people will be living. In that room, those people will be living, uh, furnishing the house, etc. That is called secondary creation. So that is done by Brahmaji. So that is what being asked here. Creation of various places in this universe. So universe have been created by the Supreme Lord, Mahavishnu or Garbhodakshai Vishnu. But now Brahmaji is creating various bodies: body of a lion, body of a giraffe, body of an ant, a body of a human being. Among human beings also various races, various species, etc., etc. So he's asking that question: creation of various places in this universe and their inhabitants. Hmm. So inhabitants of the land are different from inhabitants of the water or the sky. Now Srila Prabhupada is explaining this, how there could be various type of inhabitants and how these inhabitants can differ from each other. So even this, on this earth planet, we see that inhabitants of land are different from inhabitants of water or inhabitants of sky. Inhabitants of sky have wings. Inhabitants of water have gills for respiration. Inhabitants of land have lungs for respiration, like that. Similarly, inhabitants of different planets are different. Hmm. Like, for example, there are inhabitants of Satya Loka or there are inhabitants of Surya Loka. So they will also have different type of bodies, like that. Then such adjustment by the law of nature is not blind. There is a great plan behind this arrangement. That is what Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport of his verse. The different inhabitants of different planets, different lokas, uh, have different type of bodies, and it is not simply by chance. It is actually a great plan. Like, for example, Prabhupada, if you read his purports, he will say that on the sun planets, the living entities on the sun planets will have bodies made up of fire. Made up of fire. Now, it can sound very awkward to somebody who is living on Earth planet, but he's saying that uh, uh, soul. He gives this example from Bhagavad Gita, that where from second chapter, where there is a discussion between Arjuna and Krishna, that Lord Krishna is saying that soul cannot be burnt. So that is where Prabhupada gives this example. There is life everywhere. There is life on sun planet also. And here we understand that the soul cannot be burnt by fire. So they get that kind of a fiery body there on Earth, on sun planet. But the point Prabhupada is trying to make here is that there is life all over the creation, all over the universes. And different living entities are given different kind of bodies. Like we see even on Earth also, different living entities are given different type of bodies. Planet, people of or living entities of water are given one kind of body, but a very entirely different kind of body is given to the inhabitants of land. So similarly, different planets, different inhabitants get different type of bodies. Okay, 16th Prabhu, please read.
Dimensions of the universe, characteristics and activities of devotees, characteristics of Varnashram.
Now, okay, maybe you can read this also, Prabhu. Yeah.
The modern scientist is unable to know about the inner space of the universal origin. What to speak of the space which covers the universe?
So, in order to explain this point about dimensions of the universe, so within one universe, there is so much details. If you go and do the space travel or hear these news about space travel, scientists traveling to space, sending uh, spaceships to Mars and maybe different other places. So Prabhupada is saying that modern scientists are unable to know about the inner space of a universal horizon. So within one universe, they are not able to cover completely. And then what to speak about other universes which are much beyond our own universe? What to speak of the space which covers the universe? So the universe is also covered in some space. What to speak of that? So he's asking the questions about universe, dimension of the universe. So scientists cannot know, but the Lord can know. Lord can know because Lord has created these universes, and people who are hearing from the Lord will have this knowledge about the dimensions of the universes. So you will see that in the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a lot of detail about the universe is. How big is it? What planets are there? How all that is very technical, very technical. People in various devotees in ISKCON have done some detailed study about it. They have tried to create a model about all that, but very elaborate description is given in Srimad Bhagavatam about this creation. Then please read the second, Prabhu.
Of the Lord and his devotees combined together comprise the complete knowledge of Bhagavatam.
So he's asking about characteristics of and activities of devotees. So Prabhupada is saying that actually Bhagavatam is all about stories of Lord Krishna and his devotees. So we will hear about uh, Dhruv Maharaj, we will hear about Kunti Devi, we will hear about Bhishma Deva, and so on. So it is all Bhagavatam. So we will discuss anyway this topic in Bhagavatam. Okay, then characteristics of Varnashram. Please read here.
Everyone is a government servant, but no one is the government himself. That is the position of all living entities in the government of the Supreme Lord.
So there is a question about Varnashram. Varnashram. So Varnashram, the question is mainly about Varna and Ashram. So I understand that our students who are coming in our classes for some time have been also taught about this concept of Varna and Ashram. Now let me try to do a little discussion here. What do you understand by Varna and what do you understand by Ashrama? What is the specific function of a Varna and what is the specific function of an Ashram? What are we trying to achieve through this Varna and Ashram system? Can anyone explain in the class? First of all, let us discuss about what is Varna. How many Varnas are there?
Four.
Four.
Okay, what are those?
Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra.
Shudra.
Okay. Why and what is the objective of this Varna system?
The
To
division of
define
labor
the
according to
occupational
caste.
duties of the
Okay,
Jivas.
one by one.
To
Maybe,
define the
yeah,
occupational duties.
okay. Okay, Shivan Prabhu, you also want to say?
Yeah, it is based upon the gunas that you are bestowed with, determines what you are best suited for
Okay.
in the present day world.
Okay. So if somebody does what he is supposed to be best suited for, what is the end result? What happens?
Well, there's a uniformity or peace. That there's a way of running the system.
There's a peace in the society.
Position in the society.
There's a peace in the society. Nowadays, there is no Varna system in the societies we live. In fact, there is a lot of chaos. You will find a lot of politicians talking about why the factory worker cannot do this job of the manager in the factory, why the manager in the factory cannot become the CEO of the factory, etc. So people are these days they are very much fond of talking about human rights and all that. That kind of agitation is there. But Varna system is a very scientific system where the nature of the human being is considered, and accordingly a role in the society is organized for this individual. So if a person is mainly organized or inclined towards becoming a businessman, then he is supposed to do the Vaishya kind of activity. Similarly, if somebody who is more inclined towards teaching, towards spiritual subject matter, more renounced in nature, etc., forgiving, peaceful, loving, he is supposed to be mainly the Brahmanical class of person. And like that, we have Kshatriya, we have Shudra, etc. The point is, by following this Varna system, the individual feels at ease, relaxed at a mental level and at a bodily level. So that's how it brings harmony and peace within the society. Everyone, like we have different organs, different bodily limbs in our body. Hand does its job, legs does its job, head does its job, and the whole body is peacefully situated. Hand is not saying that I need to walk. It's not lamenting. Legs are not saying that I need to eat and I need to do writing, I need to do that. No. Similarly, head is not saying that I need to walk or talk or like that. The point is, if each limb of the society does its job, the society is at harmony. So that is one part. Now come to the ashrama system. So what are the four ashramas?
Brahmacharya, Grahastha,
Uh,
and Sannyasi.
and sannyas. Brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. Now, what are we trying to achieve through this ashrama system?
Orderly evolution of the person, because each stage of life is meant for a certain evolution.
Evolution
Like
means what? Evolution
you
means what?
become eligible to the next stage.
Okay,
So
next
you need to
stage.
start as
Finally,
a brahmachari, where the
okay,
education, getting skills, again based upon your gunas, so that you are ready for the next stage. It's chronological,
okay,
linear.
okay. Now let me reframe the question. See, the Varna system is mainly at the level of society. The society means we are not individual people living in one society. There is a collection, or there is a big population which is living as part of a society. And if we follow the Varna system, we as a society will be harmonious, we will be peaceful together, because mentally and the bodily level, every individual is peaceful. But what is the objective of ashram system? That is my question.
For personal development,
And what is
like
that?
how
What do you mean by it? I
you
would say
become,
hmm.
yeah, you become as you uh, become like how aware you are towards your duties,
Towards your
towards the
duties. What
society,
kind of
and
duties? That is also there in the Varna system.
dharmas, like we say about dharmas, like lok dharma. It is about starting from lok dharma and going towards Bhagavat dharma, in an evolutionary way.
Okay. Okay. So what does this dharma actually tries to how is this ashram system is different from Varna system?
Varna system is basically telling you what should be your occupational duty depending upon your gunas. But ashrama system is telling you what your duty should be while in a particular varna, while being in a particular varna. Because
No, that is
ashram
Varna duty is discussed in Varna system.
yeah,
Why the Varna duty needs to be discussed in ashram system? Ashram system is different. What is the meaning of word ashram?
ashram, yeah, ashram system is common to all the varnas.
Okay, answer my question. What is the meaning of the word ashram?
Meaning
Stage
of the
of life.
word
Sorry.
Stage of life.
Okay, stage of life. No. Okay. Any better answer? Maybe anything more?
ashram is a place where the person remains and do tapasya,
Okay.
penance.
If I tell you that you have to go to an ashram, we are going to an ashram, what comes to your mind?
A place which is sanctified, pure, meant for penance.
Why that place becomes pure?
Because we are performing our
Okay.
dharma in a
Anyway,
particular.
but what I want to say is that we need to understand these differences. I think Varna system people explained well. The devotees in the class gave a good explanation, but I could not find a very good explanation about the ashram system. See, the Varna system is mainly about societal arrangement of society at large. Somebody would form a group in the society will form a job or perform the activity of Brahmana. Somebody will do the activity of Kshatriya, protecting the society. Somebody will do the activity of Vaishya, means doing the business activities, providing the needs and material needs of the society, etc. Like that. That is at a society level. But after doing all these activities, ultimate goal is what? What is the
To
ultimate goal?
achieve the to
Achieve the
achieve
devotional
bhakti
service of
only,
the
the
Lord. To
ultimate
achieve the
good
devotional service
moksha.
of the Lord.
Yes.
To achieve the
But
devotional service of the Lord. That is what the objective of the ashram system is. So ashram system is mainly about the spiritual goal of life. Varna system is mainly about the occupational duties, so that the society may perform harmoniously. But ultimately, by doing these devotional occupational duties, Ultimately, what is the objective of these occupational duties? It is the bhakti of the Supreme Lord. So there's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto where what
Savai pumsa paro dharma.
no, that is not. Let me just give you. Ata pumbir dvija shrestha varnashrama vibhagasha swanishthitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Samsiddhir haritoshanam. So goal of varnashram is what? Goal of varnashram is to please the Lord, and that is what we learn in the ashram system. Goal of varnashram or goal of varnashram, a varna system makes us satisfied at a mental level and at a bodily level, and ashram system makes us satisfied at a spiritual level, at the level of the soul. So is that difference clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes,
Is that
Prabhuji.
difference
Yes.
clear? Okay. Now read this, Prabhuji. Rakeshji, please read this.
Everyone is a government servant, but no one is the government himself. That is the position of all living entities in the government of the Supreme Lord.
Now here, in these lines, you will see the essence of varnashram. Everyone is a government servant. So we are part of the society. Like in the Varna system, we are part of the society. Somebody might be Brahmana, somebody might be a Kshatriya, and so on, doing his job. But nobody is government himself. But nobody is actually the Supreme Lord. But ultimately, by performing our activities in the government, that is the position of the living entities in the government of the Supreme Lord. But ultimately, while working as part of this government, we need to serve the Supreme Lord or serve the Supreme Government, and ultimately please the government. That is the objective. Okay, so that is the characteristics of varnashram. That question has been asked, and you will see an elaborate discussion in the 7th canto and in the 11th canto. Okay. Yeah. So we go to the next one, 17th. Please read, Prabhu.
About yugas, durations of yugas, yug dharma, and activities of yuga avatars.
So yugas. So what are the yugas? Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, like that. And these yugas continue to come in cycles. Duration of yugas. So how long is each yuga? What is the yuga dharma? So in each yuga there is a different dharma. In Satya Yuga, the dharma of the living entities or the main dharma of the living entities was different. In Treta Yuga it was different, like that. So similarly in Kali Yuga, what is the main dharma? The chanting of the holy names, right? And activities of yuga avatars. So different yugas have different yuga avatars. So this question includes not only the yuga avatars but also the type of bhakti that they institute. So different the performance of bhakti in different yugas or yuga encouraged by different yuga avatars is different. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is mentioned to be the avatara in the Kali Yuga, who is propagating the holy names of the Lord, like that. So you'll find all this description in Srila Prabhupada's purport. Okay, please read this, Prabhu.
Parikshit inquired about the different activities of such incarnations so that the incarnation of the Lord might be confirmed by his activities in the authoritative scriptures.
So Prabhupada makes this point that why Parikshit Maharaj is asking these questions, so that all the avatars that are going to come in different yugas are documented in this conversation, so that in future when people want to know what will be the next avatara, where the place this avatara is going to come, they can understand from their scripture like Srimad Bhagavatam. So this discussion is going to happen in 3rd canto, 11th canto and 12th canto. Okay, 18th.
About sadharan dharma, bhakti, saveshiya dharma,
Savishesh
dharma,
Savishesh
occupation occupations according to birth, and apad dharma in emergency situation.
So he's asking about sadharan dharma. Sadharan dharma means in normal circumstances, what should be the dharma of the person, and that's what is being mentioned here as bhakti. So ultimately, if everything is normal, then you need to do bhakti in normal course. In general, everyone needs to do bhakti. So bhakti is not bound by whether you are Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra or Brahmana. No, everyone can do bhakti. That is sadharan dharma. Then specific savishesh dharma. Savishesh means specific dharma. Now for Brahmana, the dharma is different. Kshatriya, the dharma is different. Vaishya, the dharma is different. For a lady, the dharma might be different. For a wife, dharma might be different. For a husband, the dharma might be different. For a son, there might be a different dharma. So that is savishesh dharma. Occupations according to birth or according to position, you may also say like that. And apad dharma. Apad dharma means in emergency situation. what is the apad dharma? Like for example, apad dharma would mean some of the rules of normal dharma are not applied when you are in an emergency situation. Say for example, uh, uh, if you are maybe a vegetarian person, and you land up in a situation where you are in a forest and you don't know how to go out from the forest, and in that situation you are feeling very hungry, and maybe you may have to kill some animal and eat its flesh just for survival. That is called apad dharma, emergency. Okay, now read one by one, Prabhuji.
Common religion of all classes of human beings, regardless of whosoever one may be, is bhakti. Even animals may be included in bhakti. Best example, Hanuman.
So in whatever situation you are, not only human beings, even jivas in the non-human body also can come under the purview of bhakti. And example given is Hanumanji. So Hanumanji was a Vanar, but he was the greatest devotee of the Lord Ram. Although he is not human, he is also in the bhakti. So similarly, if Hanumanji can do bhakti, then why not Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra can do bhakti? So that is common religion for everyone. Okay, then Savishesh Dharma. Please read.
Religious affiliation in terms of different countries and cultural circumstances is obviously not the common religion of human being. The basic principle is bhakti.
The basic principle still is bhakti. So here Srila Prabhupada is saying that even if somebody is not following the highest principle of bhakti, but according to circumstances, according to maybe some country, some people are following somebody, some leader, still the principle still remains something related to bhakti, that you need to follow something. That is what he's saying here. Okay, the third one.
What is the dharma in emergency situation when it is difficult to act according to varna?
So varna, as I was mentioning to you, Brahmana has a different uh, dharma. So Brahmana dharma means like he need to be forgiving, he need to be speaking truthful, he should be truthful and so on. He should be peaceful and so on. For a Kshatriya, diplomacy is okay. Diplomacy is acceptable. So he may, out of diplomacy, he may sometimes manipulate things, so which may not be kind of sometimes sound very straightforward or truthful. But Brahmana is not like that. Similarly, Vaishya. Now Vaishya is doing business, and in order to do this business, he may sometimes have to take shelter of maybe saying something which is untruthful. To everyone, this Vaishya might say that in order to sell his goods, that I am not making any profit out of it. But how can his business survive if it does not make any profit? So he may have to speak some things like that. So the rules, the dharma of varna is not applicable everywhere. For Brahmana is different, Kshatriya is different, and Vaishya it is different. So he's asking about what is apad dharma. What is the dharma in emergency situation when it is difficult to act according to varna, like that. And I also gave you one example of apadharma, like a vegetarian getting entangled in a situation where he cannot find vegetarian food. Now, what does he do for survival? So he may have to take non-vegetarian food, and that is kind of acceptable as part of apadharma. Okay, 19th.
About Sankhya, worship of the Purushavtaras and Yog Mishra Bhakti.
So 3 questions. What is Sankhya? Does anyone know what is Sankhya? Can anyone explain to me? What is Sankhya Yoga?
The analytical study.
Analytical study. Very nice. So there are different elements. In the process of creation also, we discussed there were 23 elements mentioned: Ankara, Mahat Tattva, and senses and sense objects, and like that. There were multiple elements mentioned here. So analytical study of these all different elements, that is Sankhya. And then worship of Purushavtaras. Purushavtaras are Karanodakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Shirodakshay Vishnu. So he is asking the questions about what is the worship of Purushavtaras. Then Yog Mishra Bhakti. Yog Mishra Bhakti, can anyone explain to me what is Yog Mishra Bhakti? What is Mishra Bhakti?
It's a mix of yoga and bhakti.
Very good. I like that answer. But
I'm sorry.
no. I mean, you are not incorrect. You are correct. But what I mean to is, how do you explain it?
It's not pure bhakti.
Yeah, because it is mishra, it is not pure. That is also understandable. But what is the impurity in that bhakti? What is that impurity in that bhakti?
It will have elements of Ashtanga Yoga that we read in our earlier chapters.
Okay.
How that the yogi will attain the Krama Mukti while focusing on the universal form of the Lord.
Yeah. So Yoga Mishra Bhakti, you may say that, like we have this definition of Shuddha Bhakti, Uttam Bhakti, Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavratam. So Yoga Mishra Bhakti typically is mainly about Jnana Avratam. Jnana means impersonal Jnana. So that maybe you can say is mainly Yoga Mishra Bhakti, or maybe it could also be Yoga Mishra could also be like maybe for Ashta Siddhis. The yogi is mainly hankering for the siddhis. So that is kind of Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Like from the definition of, if you remember the definition of Uttama Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti, you can define what is Mishra Bhakti. Mishra Bhakti could be Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, or Yoga Mishra Bhakti. So Karma Mishra Bhakti means you are now hankering for that by doing bhakti, you may get maybe good marks, maybe get good husband, and so on. By Jnana Mishra Bhakti, maybe you are hankering for maybe impersonal liberation. And Yoga Mishra Bhakti, maybe you are hankering for maybe Ashtasiddhis and so on, like that. Okay. So this is the question that is being asked about Sankhya, worship of Purushavtaras, and Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Okay, Prabhu, can you please read this?
Enumerate the elements and describe their principal qualities as well as their effects.
So elements yeah, okay.
Describe the rules for worshipping Purushavtaras.
So Purushavtaras worship means he is asking for the rules, and for Sankhya it is mainly about what are those elements and describe the principal qualities of their elements as well as their effects. That is primarily the question, and being answered in the 3rd canto, 4th canto, and 11th canto. Okay, 20th.
Opulence, destination, and destruction of the subtle body of great yogis or devotees. Conclusion of all Vedas, Upavedas, Itihasas, and Puranas.
Okay, please read one by one. Yeah.
The Yogeshwara or the master of mystic powers can exhibit 8 kinds of wonders of perfection.
Okay, wait. Opulence, destination, and destruction of the subtle body of the great yogis or devotees. So great yogis, as I was mentioning to you, is mainly about the siddhis. So like siddhis are defined in Prabhupada books, for example, becoming lighter than the light, become heavier than the heavy, are able to get anything from anywhere in the universe in a flash, like that. So there are multiple siddhis. 8 siddhis typically are described. You can read in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also. So he's asking, opulence means Aishwarya, destination and destruction of the subtle body of the great yogis or devotees. The subtle body means man, buddhi, ahankar. So how their subtle body gets destroyed, what is the destination of these yogis, and what is the opulence, what is the what do they get, what benefit do they achieve by whatever practice they are doing. Okay, so here we have described who is the yogi, who is a great yogi, can exhibit 8 kinds of wonders of perfection. Now uh, Prabhupada in the purport gives an example of a great yogi, and he's saying that one of the example is devotees like Shiva. Please read, Prabhu, here.
Yogeshwar, master of mystic powers, refers to great devotees like Shiva.
Okay. Then please read this line, the third one.
Devotees also Yogeshwara. Example, Ambrish, Draupadi.
So Yogeshwar means that those who have siddhis. But Prabhupada is saying that although the devotees don't have these siddhis, or they don't aspire for these siddhis, because they are protected by the Lord, they actually are also having these kind of siddhis. And in order to explain this point, he gives example of Ambrish Maharaj and Draupadi. How Ambrish Maharaj was kind of, there was a Durvasa Muni who himself is a great yogi. He kind of had this clash with Ambrish Maharaj. And ultimately this Durvasa Muni had to run throughout the universe in order to get protection from the Sudarshan Chakra of the Supreme Lord. So Durvasa Muni made Ambrish Maharaj in a difficult situation. There was a whole story behind it. I hope you know that story, that Ambrish Maharaj opened his fast by drinking some water, Ekadashi fast. And Durvasa Muni became very angry about this activity of Ambrish Maharaj, and he cursed Ambrish Maharaj. But then Ambrish Maharaj was protected by the Supreme Lord. So the point Prabhupada is making is, although the devotees do not hanker for siddhis, but because they are protected by the greatest yogi, that is Lord Krishna, they also have that power of the Lord with them. And as an example, he gives this example of Ambrish Maharaj, who was protected by the Lord. So it is as good as having that siddhis, just because they are devotees of the Lord. Similarly, Draupadi was protected. She herself did not know how to get sari, elongate her sari, but because she remembered the Supreme Lord, her sari got elongated, and that is how she is also a kind of a Yogeshwar, like that. So this is the kind of explanation Prabhupada is giving in the purport. Okay, and then conclusion of all the Vedas, Upvedas, Itihasas and Puranas. Please read the last point, Prabhu.
As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, the whole purport of all the Vedas is to know the Lord and thus become his transcendental living servant.
So he asked this question: what is the conclusion of Vedas, Upvedas, Itihasas and Puranas? What is ultimately the message of these books? So Prabhupada is writing in the purport that we know from Bhagavad Gita 15.15, it is actually devotional service of the Lord. Become his servant, become and know the Lord. That is the conclusion of the Vedas, which is discussed. This is discussed in 12.13, 12th canto, 13th chapter. And then opulence and the destination of various great yogis or devotees is, you will see in the episodes of Devahuti, Dhruva, Prithu, Prachetas, Priyavrata, etc. So that is the 20th. Okay, 21st.
Describe deliverance from samsara for all living beings. Favorable and unfavorable for bhakti. Rules for Vedic, Ist, Smarth, Purtasya and Kamya Karmas. Procedures for Earth, Dharma, Kam.
So many questions he's asking. See, so describe the deliverance from samsara of all living beings. So how can a living being be delivered from the samsara? Well, actually, we'll see the answer will be bhakti only, but this is the question he's asking. Favorable and unfavorable for bhakti. What is favorable to bhakti? What is unfavorable to bhakti? A similar description is there in Nectar of Instruction. Atyahara prayasascha. So these items are not favorable to bhakti. Then utsaha dhairyat nischayat. Text 3 of Nectar of Instruction. These are favorable to bhakti. So Prabhupada mentions these points in the purport, but Shukdev Goswami will himself give his answer to Parikshit Maharaj what is favorable to bhakti, unfavorable to bhakti in the third canto, 29 to 32nd chapter of and in canto 7. This will be discussed. Then rules of Vedic karmas, smarta karmas, and kamya karmas. What are the rules? So here smart karmas, which are known as purtasya. So Prabhupada in the purport mentions, or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the purport mentions, purta refers to making ponds, wells, tanks, worship of devatas, giving food and pleasure. Something like maybe pious activities. What are the rules of Vedic activities, smart activities, and kamya activities? These are discussed in Canto 7, chapter 11 to 17. And procedures for Artha, Dharma, and Kam. Artha, Dharma, Kam, these are mainly suitable for Karma Mishra Bhakti. Karma Mishra Bhakti means when you do bhakti for some material gain, like Dhruv Maharaj was doing. So that is something which is, or maybe the Gajendra Hathi was doing. Material gain. He wanted to get relief from some difficult situation. Dhruv Maharaj wanted to gain something material. Both are at a material level. So what are the procedures for Artha, Dharma, and Kam? So that is also being asked by him. 22nd. Yes, Prabhu, please read.
Reappearance of the Jeev after Pralay from the body of the Lord. Creation of
Pashandis, heretics.
About the existence of Nitya Siddhas.
Okay. So reappearance of Jiva after Pralay, mainly after Pralay, the Jivas are once again going back into the body of the Supreme Lord, Mahavishnu. So this is a question which is about the sadhak bhaktas who want to attain perfection of their sadhana. That is the purport by Prabhupada. The idea is that if sadhak bhaktas want to attain perfection, they need to understand how the jiva once again goes back into the body of the Supreme Lord after Pralay. Then creation of Pashandis. Pashandis means those people who are without bhakti. They are known as Pashandis. And about the existence of Nitya Siddhas. So there are two types of living entities. One are eternally liberated, and the other one are eternally conditioned. So the question is about the existence of the eternally liberated living entities, and these are the references where you will find the answers. Now the last question, 23rd.
How does the Lord perform his leelas using Yog Maya and then disappearing without any attachment?
Okay.
Carries out pastime of creation, gives up the universe at the time of destruction.
So the question here is, how does Lord perform various leelas? So Parikshit Maharaj is bewildered that he creates so much and then he annihilates it. Does he not have any attachment with it? So this is one way. Then again, please read from here, the second bullet here. By his
internal potency only, he kills the demon Putna, even though enjoying his pastimes in the lap of his mother Yashoda. And when he desires to leave this world, he creates the pastimes of killing his own family members, Yadukul, and remains unaffected by such annihilation.
So he kills a Putana, he kills this witch Putana, but at the same time he's enjoying in his mother lap. He doesn't get affected. He has just now killed a very great Rakshasni, but doesn't get any affected. Similarly, when he about to leave the world, he himself orchestrates the killing of his own family members, the Yadukulas. So does he not have any attachment? He's kind of very detached. He seemed to be kind of very aloof from whatever he's doing. So he's asking how he's performing is all these leelas using Yogmaya. And then last point, Prabhu.
He is the witness of everything that is happening, and yet he has nothing to do with anything.
So he sees everything, but like Paramatma, he does not feel like anything. He's kind of very neutral. So without any attachment, how does the Lord perform all these leelas? That will be answered in the next chapter, which is the 9th chapter, 33 to 35. So with this, we come to the conclusion. I hope before we enter into the answers of these questions, you get the question understood well. What exactly is the question? Because sometimes the question may not be very straightforward or easy to understand. So this was class, it was an attempt to make you realize or make you help understand the long question paper that Parikshit Maharaj has presented before Shukdev Goswami. And then now in the next class, we kind of conclude this 8th chapter and then move to the 9th chapter, where some answers of these questions will be given. So, but do you have any question now in this class?
Prabhu, Prabhu. So here Parikshit Maharaj is asking these questions after hearing Bhagavatam, or is it in between the when Shukdev Goswami was preaching Bhagavatam? How these questions have come?
These questions have come to Parikshit Maharaj because Shukdev Goswami has already done narration to Parikshit Maharaj about the creation.
Okay.
Previous set of question was, what is the duty of dying man?
Correct.
That was answered. And then the next question was, how did this creation happen? Can you tell me about how this material creation was done by the Supreme Lord? Then Shukdev Goswami starts to answer this question by referring to Narad Brahma Samvad.
Okay.
There, chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7, all that discussion happened. Brahmaji answered Narad Muni's question about creation. So same conversation is being told by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. That in Narad Brahma discussion, this topic was discussed, and let me tell you what was that discussion. What question Narad asked, how did Brahma reply to that question? So if I quote you that conversation, you will get the answer to your question of how did the Lord did the creation. Now, once that topic was over, then Parikshit Maharaj want to hear more. He understood that I need to do hearing, Shravanam and Kirtanam. And ultimately through Shravanam, Kirtanam, I need to do Smaranam. Because whatever I will Smaran, that state I will achieve. So I need to do Smaranam about the Supreme Lord. So kindly tell me all this. So he's giving him a long list of question paper.
And this was all happening within these 7 days, where he was supposed to die in 7 days.
Within happening that 7 days, yes.
Okay.
Now, which day he asked, I don't know. That is not mentioned in Bhagavatam. But he asked this big question paper. I wonder how Shukdev Goswami could remember all these questions. Okay. So, Rakeshji, who is the next summary writer?
Prabhuji, summary is by Manish Kulkarni, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Mangalacharan, Anupama Kulkarni, Prabhuji.
No, Mangalacharan is by Mangala Mataji. Anupama Mataji and Vasudevan Prabhu for the time being are in hibernation. They are not joining us. Yeah. And summary is by Manishji.
Manish Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your patience.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Oh, Charumati Mataji, thank you very much. Thank you for the sari.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shubha Mataji. Hare Krishna.